Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to the Rubbins Racin Next Gen Series every Tuesday night, sponsored by Butt Kicker. Feel what you've been missing. As always, I'm your host, James East, accompanied by the world famous Finley Fitzsimmons, bringing the action 1080p 60 frames a second on behalf of the Team Goon Squad Broadcasting Network. 1 hour long races, no fast repairs here this evening. Great racers with great attitudes. Finley, we're here at the virtual Kansas Speedway. A mile and a half, but not quite the cookie cutter we've been used to in the past. What do you think's going to happen out here tonight as we see a lot of drivers are having a rough go of it in practice?
Yeah, as we saw a lot of 2i going on in practice, it seems like you're able to go 2i pretty much through the whole of the track. It looks like, although it does get the drivers very, very close, and there was a little bit of contact going on, we're definitely in for a good one this week. I definitely think a lot better than Nashville in terms of going 2i.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. Right now, qualifying is underway here at Kansas. Looks like it's going to be Derek Grigsby in the top spot. Dominic DeLeo currently qualifying second in the number 22 Ford Mustang. Looks like about 11 drivers have qualified so far here tonight. Jake Vanoski's on his second timed lap. Charlie Gates Jr. has yet to go out here for qualifying, as well as Butch Taylor. So not sure if we're going to see the 33 of Taylor or the 55 of Gates make their way out, as I think right now DeLeo's just getting some extra practice time in that number 22.
Yeah, any kind of practice time you can get, especially around tracks like this. It looks like during practice, at least, some of the drivers weren't able to quite hook up their lap times, and the field is quite spread out here tonight at Kansas Motor Speedway. However, but yeah, any kind of practice you can get really to make sure you perfect those lines would be definitely what you would want. We just got one other driver on track as well, Jake Vanoski. At the moment is qualifying 11th place, 4/10 off the pace. Pretty much tied there with David Reed as well, with 31.5 exactly for both of those drivers.
Yeah, I feel like this is a little bit interesting to me. This is the more spread out qualifying that I think we've seen in the past. Normally, we're seeing drivers within a tenth, a couple of tenths of each other over the course of the field, but looking like a pretty big spread here at Kansas out of the 13 drivers.
Yeah, it's a pretty big spread here tonight. However, qualifying is finished. That means the time of the day for the grid here tonight at Kansas Motor Speedway. So starting on pole position, we have Derek Grigsby starting second, Dominic DeLeo, followed by Greg Mitchell, Jared Reed starting fourth, Carter Lynn starting fifth, Nick Vasquez starting seventh, Aaron Sayer starting seventh, Matt Kleeman starting eighth, Nick Cleo surprisingly starting all the way down in P9 here today. So once again, he's not able to hook up his lap time. However, though, we've seen him charge through that field so quickly, I'm sure we'll see it again tonight. Starting 10th is David Reed, followed by Jake Vanoski in P11. Stephen Gibson starting P12, followed by Charlie Gates Jr. starting P13, and Butch Taylor running out the pack in P14 in a 33 Bass Pro machine. So, coming into this race, James, what do you think will happen? Do you think we'll have any cautions this time by, or we'll continue the green flag streak?
I'm a little intrigued to see what's going to happen with Nick Leo in the 69 machine. He's been fast all season long, but not having a good run in qualifying here tonight, starting way back in 9th. So we've seen him charge through the field before, but every time you have to make a pass, it's another opportunity to put your car in a little bit of danger. So not sure we're going to see out of Leo if we're going to see another comeback story here tonight, or if he's going to be a mid-pack hero. Hopefully we can see him get back up front, as right now Grigsby and DeLeo lead the field off here at Kansas, the front row. Reed, Mitchell, your second row. Vasquez and Lenz will be your third row to start the opening lap here. 90 laps tonight here at Kansas.
Yeah, 90 laps. That will go very, very quickly, of course. As usual on the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Series, we have no fast repairs as well. I know you mentioned this already in the intro, however, it means, especially with a lot of the banging going on in practice as well, door-to-door kind of contact here tonight, we're definitely going to have to watch it from these drivers. They're going to have to watch it, because any kind of damage really, because you're in the throttle quite a lot during the lap, and you've got some pretty high speeds going. So really, if you have like any kind of aero damage with bits of metal poking out into the airflow, that could definitely slow you down, and maybe increase your tyre wear as well, which is not what you want. I'm not quite sure what kind of pit strategy you will be expecting here tonight. I'm guessing a 1 or a 2 stop. However, I think the drivers will opt for the 1 stop if they can. On the inside line, though, Derek Grigsby in the 1 machine will be controlling this restart. However, though, I know we've mentioned this for the past couple broadcasts now, going through the iRacing restart zone, the green flag will fly at a random point, in which the top line and the low line will get an equal chance to get a good start as we go green here tonight. Derek Grigsby with a good start. However, though, we can see Jared Reed pushing Dominic DeLeo on that outside line. Around this bumper already on the start as they're too wide going into turn 1. Still.
Read that number 5 Ford Mustang said, hey, it's time to go. Derek Grigsby, though, guarding that inside line, seems like he gets a great launch and kind of settles the field in behind him. I think that's Dominic DeLeo trying to work his way up as we check in on Greg Mitchell. No, you're right. It's Greg Mitchell, the number 2 machine, working the low line here in the opening laps, trying to slide up behind DeLeo. And very interesting. Look at the line choices. We go 3 wide early on.
Yeah, really close already. Going down onto the apron. It is an option you can take here at Kansas Speedway. It seems like you can go onto that apron. It won't throw you off too much when you try and go back onto the racing surface. Over though, Greg Mitchell, you could see working that inside line. He lost a couple, I think 1 or 2 spots to begin with, but now he's back up into 3rd where he qualified. Matt Kleeman further back though, up 3 spots from where he began, and so is Jake Vanoski. We see this from Jake Vanoski a lot. He does like to make up a lot of positions early on in this race. Also though, Nick Cleo and the championship contender here today, and the reigning world champion, all the way down in P11 here tonight. He's not at a good start. He's down 2 spots.
No, and somebody else that's having a rough go of it, Jared Reed in the number 5 machine. He took heavy contact at the outside wall. That is going to be a long race for Reed if we keep a green flag run here, as he will be fighting that arrow over the duration of the event. We saw it, I mean, I think that was tail end of lap 1 starting lap 2. We saw 3 wide action, a bit of contact amongst the competition. So looking like a long night for a lot of the guys. As I say that, Reed clicks off his fastest lap of the race at 31.23. So that number 5 may still have some pace yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you missed this, however, Derek Grigsby managed to get into the wall and he's crossfilled all the way down the order to P4 here tonight. So he's lost 4 spots. Dominic DeLeo is your new leader.
Yeah, I think tonight's going to be one of those races where you see the guys really battling the track more so than you see them battling their competitors. We've seen a couple of bumps and moves early on here tonight, but so far it looks like mostly guys just trying to figure out the track, battling that. Instead of, worrying too much about the wheel-to-wheel actions, we're focused on Matt Kleeman, the number 19 machine. He's in a battle for 6th with Carter Lenz and trying to work his way up as everybody's trying to find a dance partner and slot in here.
Yeah, we're still going 2 wide with Jake Vanoski here, but it looks like Matt Kleeman in the 19 is able to make it stick. Up 1 spot from where he started up into P7 here tonight. Over a shuffle further forwards, Jared Reed is all over the back there of Derek Grigsby as well. So Derek Grigsby is not having a great night on lap 6. It looks like he may fall victim to Jared Reed as he dips down to the inside line, the 5 machine. Coming out of turn 2 now, they're 2 wide. Who will have the better exit down the straight? Grigsby does have the draft of the cars ahead, so he may just about still edge him. However though, Jared Reed does have that shorter distance in the 5 machine on the inside line, so it looks like he'll make it stick, and he'll come back up to the high line to block off the run.
Reed absolutely ripping it after that early contact, worked his way back up to 4th, as I believe that's going to be Vasquez and Mitchell going side by side in the battle for 2nd. Reed in the 5 machine looking for a way through, tucked in behind Vasquez in the 23, and still not having any luck, still side by side, but Vasquez is going to hold on to the 3rd place, but for how long? Because here comes Reed, charging forward, using that big hole in the air to his advantage, and the top 5 keeps changing up here, Finley.
Yeah, Jared Reed didn't have a great race last time out. It looks like he's able to make his way back up into 3rd for now, but we saw that in the dying moments, he had an instant which just shuffled him further back down the order, really far down, like in the dying moments, so he couldn't recover from it. But it looks like he's been able to recover from that and is now up into 3rd place and challenging Greg Mitchell in 2nd place. As he now goes down the inside into turn 4, hasn't looked, doesn't quite get the move done as he settles in behind now.
Yeah, Reed just throwing that number 5 machine around at will up here. I do wonder how much tire he's using on early in the run, but I'm a little surprised after we saw that early contact. Maybe didn't have the damage that I thought he did. Maybe taking a couple laps, getting his nerves back with him, and then putting the hammer down. And that is what Reed is doing as he goes side by side with Mitchell for 2nd place. It looks like Reed may have it here. No, Mitchell pulls back ahead just at coming up to the start-finish line. And the battle for 2nd is going to continue as now Derek Grigsby wants to get back up front, chasing Reed in the 5.
Yeah, we saw Grigsby did top practice and qualifying, so he definitely does have the pace here tonight at Kansas. Will he be able to work his way back up? Will he settle in? Maybe save a little bit of tyres and go at it later on in the stint when he has the clean air in front of him. However, though, we can see Jared Reed getting very, very close to that wall there. I'm not sure if he managed to scrape it, but it gives Grigsby the chance to go down the insides. They're too wide coming down the back straight away. But it looks like on the outside line, drivers do get a better initial exit, but there is a shorter track distance on the inside line, so they get the initial. Or just Reed back into the wall again. Doesn't lose too much speed there, but actually, no, I say that. Vasquez is coming back at him, and Kleeman possibly.
Yeah, Reed. Oh, Reed's falling apart here. Here comes Kleeman at the inside line, the number 19 machine. Kleeman, the bright yellow and black number 19 Ford. Reed and the predominantly, I'd call that a green and black number 5 machine. So things still swapping up. And look at that. Here's Vinoski and Leo having a battle for 7. Looks like Carter Lynn's trying to get in the fray as well. So all across the raceway here tonight, we've got just spectacular racing. Packs of 2, 3, 4 drivers at a time, all looking to get back up there. And it'll be interesting to see if that 69 machine of Leo is going to be able to make some moves late into the race and start crawling his way back up towards the front.
Yeah, we can see he didn't have the best of starts, but he sorts this stuff out now and he's starting to make his way back up. 2 spots from where he started in P7, and we know he has the pace, but maybe, you never know, Kansas might not be his track, and maybe, you know, he's off the pace all weekend, but it looks like in practice at least he did have pace similar to our leaders, so I'm pretty sure he has got it in him, but he just wasn't able to hook up that qualifying lap. But at the moment he's still trying to settle in, I think, but once he gets settled in, we know we'll see that pace from him.
Yeah, it's a relatively long race. Granted, I guess by full-length NASCAR, it's a relatively short race, but 90 laps, still lots of opportunity to have your bobbles, have your issues. You know who's not having issues? Dominic DeLeo on screen, the number 22 machine, has pulled a 1.3 second advantage over Greg Mitchell in second. Mitchell has about 3/4 of a second over Derek Grigsby, so the top 3 getting a little bit spread out here as we go back to Nick Leo, Matt Kleeman, having an absolutely heated battle for 6th. They're about 7/10 back from Jared Reed and Nick Vasquez, so 2 really tight battles going on here for those top 5, top 6 positions.
Yeah, it looks like our drivers are getting in pairs at the moment. Dominic DeLeo is out in front, a little bit of an exception to that. We got Greg Mitchell and Derek Grigsby, followed by the second pair of Jared Reed and Nick Vasquez, and then Nick Leo and Matt Kleeman, your third pair in the row. So it looks like our top, pretty much, yeah, top 6 is split up into pairs here tonight.
Now coming into Kansas, I didn't expect this racetrack to race so darn well, but we've never seen practice, but this has been fantastic so far. We're only 16 laps in. I've lost count of all the awesome passes we've seen so far as we watch drivers make their way across the start-finish line, and people still making moves here. So now as drivers starting to get into a bit of a groove, I'm wondering how the tire wear may be affecting things. Right now, drivers not that far off their pace, maybe a second, 1.12 seconds off the fastest laps of the race. So definitely feeling the effects of tire wear, but right now they're still ripping it and kind of using every line they can try at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing going on in the stint here, so it looks like tire wear isn't much of a factor. The degradation at this track doesn't seem like it's that powerful. So you kind of have free reign of what lines you take. You just got to make sure you don't put too much pressure on that right front by leaning on it on the exit. And in the mid corner, but it looks like Vasquez in the 23 is getting back at the 69. It looks like 69 is going to hang high and maybe try and get the exit on the 23. But 23 is coming up, squeezing the 69 on the outside line, but he does still have the exit. However, will Vasquez choose to use the apron? No, he doesn't. So it looks like the 69 will have the better exit, but once again, Vasquez in the 23 will have that initial kind of gain on him. But as I say that, Nick Leo in the 69 still managed to hold it around the outside, and we know we'll have the exit going down the backstretch, so I think he has a position back. Yes, he does. Vasquez tucks him behind again.
Leo making that pass on the outside line and making it stick. Very, very impressive. Panning back to David Reed in the 52 machine. He's in a bit of a 3-car battle here for the top 7 spot. He's got Matt Kleeman, Carter Lynn's just ahead, as everybody's taking 3 different lines across the tri-oval. Reed not quite sure who he's going to tuck in behind. He picks Kleeman first, but oh, this is going to be tight. And nobody really has a set line so far. I think at this point, drivers still searching around looking for the fastest way, and Matt Kleeman, David Reed, side by side, and just, again, great racing all across the track here tonight.
Yeah, great racing all across as well. However, though, Dominic DeLeo has stretched his gap to 3.2 seconds here tonight. So it looks like he's having an absolute worldie of a race at the moment. We will want to know, though, is he burning up tyres by doing that? Is he using a little bit too much? Or is he just trying to stretch that gap and maybe go for a more aggressive two-stop strategy? Butch Taylor, though, coming home, or coming right up behind Aaron Sayer. Got 4 spots from where he started originally, but it looks like, I believe, Aaron Sayer was able to get past the 33, so shuffling it back to 3 spots from where he started. However, though, we see Butch Taylor consistently starting from the back of the grid and making his way up into P11 now it is, for the 33 machine Toyota, as it looks like Aaron Sayer is going down the inside of Matt Kleeman as well, as he goes down onto the apron to get the shortest run into turn 1, as he gets the move done.
I think we're at the point of the race, 21 laps in, you're going to start to see drivers who are very good at tire management start picking and clawing their way up the standings. And like you said, Butch Taylor, a great example of that in the 33 Toyota. Didn't have a great qualifying, started at the very back. I'm not even sure if he put down a qualifying time, but just slowly and steadily working his way up the front. Your hard chargers right now, Taylor's up 3 spots, Nick Leo's up 4 spots from where he started. As now it looks like Taylor trying to gain another one, as there's Steven Gibson, Jake Fanoski going side by side in the battle for 12th. Gibson qualified 12th, Fanoski qualified 11th. So just great racing all the way, as there we go. There's Taylor and Kleeman going at it.
It looks like Taylor's able to get back past him, back up to 4 spots from where he started. The 33 Toyota doing his work once again, making his way back up the pack. Will he be able to stretch that gap, or will Matt Kleeman be able to get back at him going down the backstretch? My money says he will, because he's right behind him and is back and forth racing all across the circuit.
Yeah, unless Kleeman's really burned up those tires early on, I think he's still right there with it, keeping Taylor in the draft. And Taylor's only about 9/10 back from Aaron Sayer as well, and 9th, so a top 10 not yet out of the cards for a lot of these drivers. And I don't know, then it looks like Taylor's starting to pull the slightest of gaps over Kleeman. He's gained it to about a half second. As we pull up the live timing tower on the left side of your screen, you can see where your favorite driver is, and I don't know, are we going to see Kleeman work his way back up front here?
I'm not sure. It looks like he was kind of far up the grid to begin with, but he's pulled his way back, so I think he was burning up them tyres a little bit too much. You see David Reed managing to get past Aaron Sayer, having a little bit of a battle there with the 42. As it looks like, as we pan back to Nick Lea though, he's now at 4 spots from where he started, side of P9. He's now up into P5. He's looking for meat out of Jared Reed now. His championship rival is coming up next to. Usually we see this guys battling at the front, but at the moment in this race we're battling for 4th place. So both of our drivers not in the best of positions here tonight. However, they'll be trying to get any points they can to just close that gap or get ahead or extend the gap to their rivals. However, though, back in 4th and 5th, you don't get as much points as you do for starting 1st and 2nd, and there's less of a points gap, which means you don't gain as much from finishing in front. So I'm not sure if Leo or Reed will try and push that a little bit more to try and get other drivers between them. Here on lap of 26 of 90, I think now is starting to be the point where the drivers are settling in. I would
agree. Reed with a 33-second flat last time by, Leo with a 32.88. So run just about 1200s faster than Reed running 4th. So starting to very slowly close that 1.2 second advantage that Jared Reed has, but that's a long way to go. And I really do think it's going to come down to fuel management and tire management if we can keep the green flag run going. I mean, as everyone knows, if we can make it to lap 45 here tonight before drivers have to come down pit road, that'll signal, long day. It'll be a one-stop race, so we will see how this is going to pan out, as I think we're going to have a battle for 6th as well. Yes, we do. Carter Lenz, Nick Vasquez. Lenz takes over the 6th place spot. Vasquez gets shuffled back to 7th. And still, drivers making moves as this thing goes on.
Still making moves. Kind of in the midpoint of the stint now, coming up to lap 30, which is the 3rd way mark of this 9-lap race here tonight. It looks like Cartelin's is off to a... Well, actually, no, I say that. He hasn't had the best of races so far, down one spot from where he started. He started P5, he's now in P6 in the full machine. He's kind of keeping it around the same place, he's doing a good job. Maybe he's managing his tyres, managing his pace, and maybe start to turn it on later on in the stint. Although it looks like at the moment he's trying to keep Vasquez behind, but not spend too much time or lose too much time more. So that gap in front is getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, every time these drivers start to battle it out and kind of stick the elbows out and get a little bit more aggressive, it's a very surefire way to start falling down the standings. As we pan back to Butch Taylor, has worked his way up into 10th, up 4 spots in the 33 machine. And he's got a busy racetrack ahead of him as David Reed, Aaron Sayer running nose to tail up on the high line. Taylor looking down low, gets pinched off slightly by David Reed, father of Jared Reed, out there running hard. So one of my favorite things to see here on a Tuesday night, Finley, is the father-son pair of David Reed and Jared Reed. Such a cool experience to be able to share a racetrack, be it virtual or not, with your son is just very unique, and I'm very impressed and a little bit jealous of those guys and that family dynamic, because that's a great way to spend an afternoon.
Oh, 100%. Definitely father-son bonding for sure. Looks like though Butch Taylor was able to get past Aaron Sayer, is now 5 spots from where he started. Now well in within that top 10 now as he hunts down David Reed to get another spot here tonight. 52. David Reed is still looking quite strong though. He's up 2 spots from where he started. Started P10th, now P8 here tonight. But it looks like he may have to battle for that 8th place and may drop back one again. As the 52 looks in his rearview mirror and sees a 33 ever coming closer. As it looks like he goes up into the wall again as he did the other lap. Now the Butch Taylor of 33 goes down to the low line, trying to look, see if he can get a better run. He switches down to the apron to get the shortest distance possible to try and get up alongside David Reed. But it looks like he isn't quite able to make that work. He settles back in behind, but I'm sure in 2 or 3 laps time we'll be right there.
And while I have a moment, we've got Jamie Oldman, Money Henson tuned in, as well as RV2 Motorsports, both giving a whole lot of love to Derek Grigsby and that #1 Chevrolet running third. So good to see the fans out here in attendance tonight, cheering on some great racing. As right now on screen, it's David Reed, Butch Taylor, Aaron Sayer, all in a 3-car battle for 8th. As there we go, Taylor continues the charge, now up 6 positions from where he qualified. So Taylor's getting it dialed in and looks like he's making some big strides here.
Yeah, the 33 machine is looking strong here tonight. But it looks like as David Reed gets in the wall again coming out of turn 2. It looks like, especially out of turn 4, but now I think turn 2 as well, as we start to get later on in the stint, that wall is coming up at you. And I think with these worn tyres, just aren't quite able to turn the car as you were before. And it looks like it's kind of throwing those drivers off a little bit and maybe catching them off guard. The 52 machine being the, I think, the main victim of that. Now into P10, so back down to where he qualified, losing the 2 spots he gained early on in the race. We'll have to wait and see if he's able to get get the pace back and maybe challenge those 2 in front of him again. But for now, I think he'll definitely try and extend that stint as long as he can. Or, I don't know. We can see, though, he has burned up his tyres a little bit by going up into the wall. Maybe you cut it short, go for the undercut and get the time back on the fresher tyres. We'll have to wait and see how he plays this one out. But, yeah, I definitely think it's not all and out for him. It could definitely change it in an instant.
Yeah, it's a tough call to make for David Reed, who's had a bit of a yo-yo kind of night. As we check in on Steven Gibson, Jake Fanoski battling it out for 12th. It's one of those things, who did the homework to see what their fuel mileage is going to be here at Kansas? And who's kind of learning and looking at the data, talking to the crew chiefs as the run progresses? If you don't know for certain how long you go on a tank of a gas, sorry I get interrupted, there's a bunch of smoke there on the start-finish line. Was that Nick Vasquez who's falling down the stands in the 23 machine?
Yeah,
I didn't see
Vasquez.
a crash report. But yeah, Vasquez all the way back to 11th now.
Yeah, Vasquez shuffled down to 11th there. He's had an absolute nightmare. So now he's down 5 spots from where he started, all the way down in P11 here tonight. So it looks like he ducks down pit road. Oh,
no!
Getting a little loose there. Oh.
Vasquez, big problems, almost comes back up onto the track. I'm not sure if he was trying to pit or just made a bobble, but Vasquez is going to limp it onto pit road and so dangerously close from coming right back up into the raceway. I thought for certain we were going to see that first caution come out.
Oh, he was very, very close. He nearly lost it there. However, though, showing great skill, keeping that car in a straight line just about, and saving us from one caution here tonight. So, as we approach the midway point of this race, do you think we'll go green all the way like we have done the past couple of races, or do you think we'll have our first caution in like 3 weeks, I would say? Is it 3 weeks? I think it's 3 weeks.
It's been a while since I was out of town last week. You called that one and went green all the way around. So I'm gonna say I'm not gonna will it into existence and predict one way or the other because I really want to avoid bringing the commentator's curse, because whenever these guys get those green flag runs, it really lends itself well to racing. And now Vasquez, who had that moment, several moments I would say, he will, I guess, be the first driver to come in for pit road. And now he's going to be 2 laps down, but he's going to have fresh tires underneath him. So let's see what fresh rubber can do for Nick Vasquez as we continue to watch Butch Taylor, Aaron Sayer. Taylor, what a night so far for that 33 machine. He's a very fast, a very consistent driver, but unfortunately has been plagued with a little bit of bad luck in the past. So good to see Taylor up 7 spots, just chugging away at it. And so far, so good for that Toyota Camry.
Yeah, so far so good here tonight. Aaron Sayer in the Chevrolet. Looks like he's doing some good work here tonight. Now he has gone down 1 spot, but he's still looking racy. The 42 machine is still looking strong here tonight as he stays with the 33 of Butch Taylor. Maybe he's waiting for a mistake to happen, or maybe he's sitting in behind trying to save some fuel and extra tyres to get past him in the second stint of the race. Because now is the point we've got to play smart. Because now it's all about how you manage your tyres and how much fuel you can save, depending on how, if you can go an extra lap if you can. But also, even if you have saved only like half a lap of fuel but still put on the same lap, that's half a lap of fuel that you can't, well, you don't have to put in the tank, which means the pit stop will be a little bit quicker than the drivers around you.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this one's going to pan out, especially for Sayer. He's been closing the gap down to about 1/4 of a second behind Taylor. Taylor will gain another about 1/10 to 2/10 at a time, as now Jared Reed's going to come in on lap 42 with a bit of an undercut. So I think now, I guess the fuel window is officially open. I can't imagine Jared Reed would put himself in a position where he would run out of fuel towards the end.
Yeah, that is not really what he wants to do. I'm sure he'll be able to make it to the end, because he wouldn't want to put himself, especially with the championship kind of... I wouldn't like to say that he's thinking about it in his head, but definitely when you're in the championship position, if you somehow run out of fuel and have to pit again, go 2 laps down and shuffle right down to the back like he's had before, it's not what you want. You lose massive points by doing that. And it's definitely not what you want to do, as every point counts, especially coming to the latter side of the season now, coming into kind of the last third. It's not what you want to be so far down and just losing massive points like that. As we go back with Aaron Sayer, he gets even closer to the rear end of the 33. I'm not sure if he's going to try and go for a move.
Oh, look at this. Greg Mitchell comes down pit road as he was running 3rd. So now here's my question, Finley. You're seeing drivers come in before the halfway mark. And I think Matt Kleeman's about to come down pit road as well, as we get a signal from his spotter. Look at that, Aaron Sayer, Butch Taylor, excuse me.
Butch Taylor.
Did Taylor miss it?
Taylor missed pit road. He's gone into the grass and he locked up, so he's got to go round another time. He's going to lose big time from that. So all the work he put in, going up 5 spots, has just gone to... I was about to say something then I shouldn't say on the broadcast. However, he has not had the best of... I'm sure that is not what he planned to do.
For certain, if Taylor didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. And what I was gonna ask before that big moment out of the 33 machine was, for the drivers that came in below the halfway mark, was it due to fuel, or were they valuing a little bit track position? Because what I'm thinking is, I would ideally want to take tires after lap 45 if I could stretch it out, as we watch Jake Vanoski, Steven Gibson try to do. That way you've got the freshest rubber to bring it home all the way to the end. So let's see how long Vanoski and Gibson are going to stay out here, because in theory they would have the freshest tires all the way out till the end.
In theory, yes, but I think these drivers are treasuring that undercut because well, even if you're not trying to undercut the drivers in front of you, I think it's important to make sure you cover it off and do that early pit stop so you don't manage to gain that track position on you. But we have seen, though, you can make positions at this track. We've had a lot of battling, but I think you do lose time when you do it, because we could see as the drivers were battling and splitting off into pairs, you could see between those pairs you're 6, 7, 8 tenths of a second between them. So I think if you can, you want to avoid it, but I don't think pitting on that 42 is quite... I think that's a little bit too early, as you mentioned. I think you should pit maybe on lap 43, possibly 44 to 45 in the midpoint. However, though, if you are going to pit early, it'd be only maybe 1 or 2 laps, but maybe not 3.
We've had a fair amount of drivers go for a bit of an undercut. Just 2, Vinosky and Gibson, going for the overcut here, as I think that was Nick Vasquez getting his lap back in the number 23 machine. So what's the strategy here for our top 2 drivers? As yes, you can see Vasquez get his lap back. Here comes Gibson. I think Jake Vinosky comes down pit road.
So Jake Vinosky cuts on lap 47, goes 2 laps
Gibson
longer.
Follows.
And Stephen Gibson, so both drivers going for the overcut there, choosing to go an extra 3 laps here tonight. And that's 3 laps fresher tyres they will have till the end of this race, which could be huge near to the end, especially when the tyres do start to drop off and the lap time starts to drop off. Your lap times are going to drop off 3 laps later, and that's 3 laps where you can make up massive time.
Yeah, Gibson's not afraid to try some unique decisions, is what I'm going to describe it, as far as pit strategy goes. So we'll keep an eye out on that number 53 machine later in the run, as right now it's the Dominic DeLeo show. 2.3 seconds up over Jared Reed. But hey, Jared Reed all the way up into second after a rough start to the night. So good for him, charging forward as Greg Mitchell, Derek Grigsby, Nick Leo round out the top 5. Oh, right as you pan to him, it looks like Reed was dangerous. Excuse me, no, that's Vasquez. Was dangerously close to kissing that wall there, Finley.
Yeah, I just saw that gap tumbling down to Cartelins in front, and I had to take a look. I think as he kind of saw that wall coming, he had to hit the brakes or come out of the throttle a bit more than he would have wanted to, which I think lost him a little bit of time to Cartelins. Apparently, well, yeah, the gap's around about now 7 tenths of a second. As we pan back to Dominic DeLeo, though, he's up to 2.5 seconds now. The gap is to Jared Reed. It was a little bit bigger before the pit stops. Jared Reed has been able to close that gap by around about a second. However, though, Dominic DeLeo is still showing his dominance here tonight, and it looks like he's really on the pace here at Kansas Motor Speedway compared to what he usually is.
Yeah, DeLeo just out in front, and I don't know if he can be stopped if we keep going green time after time. That's his fastest lap, a 31.25. The lap prior clicked off a 31.45 this time by. Now, we did get a report from our pit road reporter, Stephen Gibson, the number 53 machine. I think he got a speeding penalty. We saw a bit of a lockup on the brakes coming down the commitment cone, and he was in his pit stall for 56 seconds. So I think that's very indicative. He got either a speeding penalty or an unsafe pit entry. So unfortunately, Gibson, who we were bragging about trying some crazy stuff on strategy, not going to have the luck he was looking for.
Yeah, not really the look he was looking for, as like 56 seconds is a long time to be down pit road, especially when these lap times are 30 odd seconds. That's nearly 2 laps you'd given up there. That's 2 laps extra which you're down. As we can see now, he is down 2 laps from our leader. Not a brilliant position to be in, of course, being 1 lap behind your nearest competitor and 1 lap ahead of the guy behind you. He's kind of in no man's land at the moment. He's going to hope he has a caution and, yeah, to maybe bunch up the pack, but really he isn't going to get his lap back because he is the 3rd or the 4th lap car down, so he wouldn't get that lucky dog. So really, he's kind of stuck there at the moment, and he can't really recover from that without any kind of external event.
Yeah, in a bad spot here. Now, Dominic DeLeo still pulling a gap, 4.7 seconds ahead. He's going to have a little bit of traffic ahead of him, I think, with the like of, I think it's going to be David Reed will be the next driver in front of him to put a lap down. And speaking of lap down drivers, only 9 drivers remaining on the lead lap here. As we are rapidly clicking off laps, we pan back to Jared Reed running in second. He was about 7 tenths slower than Greg Mitchell that last time by. Mitchell came in a lap 43, 2 laps after Jared Reed. And I think Mitchell's charging back up towards the front here in that number 2.
Yeah, I just want to mention though, I think David Reed had a little bit of a shocker there. 4/10 is the gap behind, but 5.5 seconds the gap in front.
Yeah, Reed, I think now is the time. He will have his hands full with Greg Mitchell. Reed, though, thinking long term, surely he knows that Nick Leo is in 5th right now, and that's probably his biggest competition. But Jared Reed, I should say more specifically, wants nothing more than to really pull home some points here tonight. As here comes Mitchell up the inside line, making it nice and clean against Jared Reed. And the ever-changing landscape of the top 5 continues. Now it's DeLeo, Mitchell, and Jared Reed, your top 3, as we've got about 34 odd laps left, and I still have no idea how this is going to pan out, but if we can go green, I think DeLeo's looking really, really good here.
Yeah, DeLeo is looking really good here. 6.2 seconds the gap is to Mitchell now. So he looks like, well, he's got a massive cushion there. He can save tyres and just make sure he gets it to the end. Well, he's only going to nurse his car now. So if he makes no mistakes and a caution doesn't come out, he's in for a win here at Kansas, which would be the first of the season for him. On that 57 of 90, we're approaching the 2/3 way, which means we only have 1/3 of the race to go. 30 laps remain, or 33 laps I should say at the moment as we cross the line. Dominic DeLeo, as I just said, looking very, very strong here tonight. I'm not sure if we found a little bit of pace, did a lot of practice over the weekend, or maybe it just made, I don't know, because he's got a lot more pace than he usually does. I don't know, he pulled a blinder. I'm not quite sure what he's done, but he's done something right.
Well, whatever it is, you're right. It's working out extremely well for Dominic DeLeo, and I'm impressed with Greg Mitchell as well. He got around Jared Reed and just blitzed by. I'm not sure if maybe Jared is doing some fuel saving since he was one of the first drivers down pit road, as now Derek Grigsby has taken over the 3rd place spot. Look at Reed. Something's not right here. Either fuel saving or some sort of problems, as he is very far off the pace, as now there's 3 drivers in front of him. Reed was about 7/10 slower than anybody else in the top 3 that last time by.
I have a feeling pitting on that 42 wasn't the best choice. Maybe he's having to save some fuel here tonight because he pitted too early and didn't leave that margin for fuel. So he's having to save an extra lap, I think, or 2 to make it to the end of the race. So he's really not in a good position here as he runs up into the wall again.
That is not what we want to see, and maybe that was my commentator's curse coming in. I even said just, 20 laps prior, surely he's done the calculations, but Jared Reed really, really off the pace here. A 33-second flat last time by, about anywhere between 7 to 9/10 off the pace of the guys in front. So Jared Reed, I'm not sure what he needs at this point, if it's a late race caution or regardless how he spent, needs a little bit of luck here to get back into podium contention, because just 4.2 seconds back and closing fast is his rival Nick Leo in the 69 machine, and you can bank that Leo will not be backing off here if he catches the number 5 in his sights.
Yeah, I think Nick Leo is seeing that relative drop down corner by corner, and he knows this is his opportunity to close that gap and just get any kind of points he can on his nearest rival here tonight. 3.6 seconds the gap now as we go on board with Nick Leo. You can just see Reed in the distance there coming out of turn 2 into the tri-oval. He's right there.
Yeah, and as a racer, once you see that other guy in front of you, you get that rabbit to chase. Kind of helps motivate you. It's a little mental thing where you can push a little bit harder, a little bit deeper, and kind of see what you're working for. Makes it a lot easier than just burning laps on an open track. But Nick Leo has the number 53 of Steven Gibson now, who's worked his way around. Gibson, after that penalty on lap 47, the pit stop, has a little bit fresher tires underneath him, and hey, maybe that'll give Leo a chance to grab a tow here. But he does not want to get bogged down battling with traffic if he wants to reel in Jared Reed.
Yeah, Jared Reed is his main focus, and he's got 17 laps, or 27 laps, excuse me, to do it. So he hasn't got a rush here tonight. And I think he may just be, sticking out the draft and making sure he doesn't catch Mitchell, or that's not Mitchell, excuse me, that's Stephen Gibson. He doesn't want to catch him. He doesn't want to catch that lap traffic because there isn't much point in overtaking him again. He knows he has the fresh tyres and he doesn't kind of want to let him become a factor of this race because he knows he can catch him without it. However, though, Mitchell and Derek Grigsby, 2/10 the gap between the drivers now. Grigsby is on an absolute roll. He's found the pace here tonight and he's back on the number 2.
Grigsby working his way up. Now he qualified at the very front, worked his way back to 3rd, but looks like Greg Mitchell running 2nd in the aptly numbered 2 Chevrolet is about to have company as Grigsby looks at the high line, drifts back low, not able to facilitate that pass quite yet into 1 and 2 as we go on board with Derek Grigsby and that number 1 machine. I think he's still in it now. Dominic DeLeo is in a different zip code at this point, 9 seconds ahead of the battle for 2nd. DeLeo only has to worry about traffic at this point, I would say, but the top 3 still far from decided. As you've got Greg Mitchell, he's got Derek Grigsby 2/10 off the back bumper. And you've also got Nick Leo, who's closed the gap to less than 2 seconds to Jared Reed. So very interesting to see how this one's starting to pan out.
Yeah, it's panning out to be a brilliant race in the closing moments. 25 laps to go here tonight at Kansas. We've seen what can happen with the racing. Anything can change. The order can change as Greg Mitchell's up into the wall. I just said that. Mitchell dropping the position. As actually, no, they're still too wide going down the backstretch now, or the front stretch. He could still have a chance around the outside. We know the outside line is strong here in turn 1. He isn't quite able to make it stick as Grigsby covers off the run. Mitchell does have a look down the inside, but as it looks like the number 1 will have the exit coming out of the back straightaway, or going onto the back straightaway. Mitchell right behind him in the 2. The 1 and the 2 fighting. The 1 wants to stay ahead and be the number 1. And the number 2 kind of sticking him behind, and he wants to prove that wrong.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a better battle here. Grigsby and Mitchell going at it here. 23 laps left to go. Dominic DeLeo still 9.8 seconds ahead, but Grigsby had a rough start here tonight, worked his way towards the back and starting to charge forward once more. He ran, it's caught a little bit over 1/10 of a second faster than Mitchell that last time by, but this is some great racing. I mean, we said early on, great racing all across the track. I'm a little bit surprised just how good the racing is here tonight at Kansas, but these guys are putting on a fantastic show, working a bunch of different lines, working the draft, and even working traffic to their advantage.
Yeah, working traffic, especially with like so many drivers now on the lap down. Pull up on NASCAR timings, how we can see only our top 6 remain on the lead lap. Aaron Sayer in the number 42 is the next lap traffic to be overtaken. Number 1 will want to clear him nice and quickly and not lose any time. Otherwise, he'll be right on the back, so it looks like Nick Leo is too wide with Jared Reed. On the outside line, the 69 gets the move done, I think. No, Jared Reed's fighting back on the inside, but can't quite make it finish, or can't quite fight back even. The 69 is now past him, up into 4th spot, and that means he's going to gain more points, and that gap between them is going to grow ever closer. Nick Leo being the chaser, not by much though. Both of them had their low points, and both of them equally had their high points. They both had a bad race here tonight. Reed doesn't want to have another one. However, though, Nick Leo in the 69 is able to broil those positions in, and is now catching Stephen Gibson. Stephen Gibson squeezes him on the outside line. Doesn't quite give him an easy job trying to get past him, so he switches down to the apron. Jared Reed might have a shot back at him here. We'll have to wait and see. He isn't dropping back, Jared Reed. He has a look down the inside. Can't quite get the move done to begin with, but he's using the draft, switching between the drivers, trying to find an opportunity, trying to find any time he can gain here and get back at the 69, because he knows that move that just happened is big.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting to see how things are going to shape up in the points. Coming into tonight, Dominic DeLeo, your current race leader, and Greg Mitchell were tied for 3rd place. Jared Reed was still out front in the points. Nick Leo running 2nd. So right now on screen, ladies and gentlemen, these are the 2 championship leaders separated by 6 points each. putting on a fantastic show here in fourth, and I'm very impressed after, I think it's been 8 rounds, just how tight things still remain here at the Rubbins Racin Next Gen Cup Series. And the championship is far from decided. I feel fairly comfortable in saying, as yeah, I'm amazed at how good the racing is here tonight.
Yeah, I just checked. We are on round 9 of 12 here tonight. Only 3 races remain. As it looks like, though, Jared Reed going up into the wall again doesn't lose that much time, as he still remains on that rear bumper of the 69. I think Jared Reed has finished his fuel saving, and he's back on it again, because he knows he needs to get past the 69, because out of anyone on this track, he's the person he least wants to be in front of him at the moment.
Yeah, even if it's just for a 4th and a 5th place spot, Reed still wants his name up front. When again, 6 points separating these two championship contenders as it stands. I think with how this season's been going, every single point is going to matter for these drivers, and I'm intrigued as well to see what this is going to do to the top 5 standings following tonight's Kansas, especially Greg Mitchell running 3rd, Derek Grigsby having a fantastic night as well. Now, I don't think Grigsby is in the points championship as of yet. I take that back. He's got 160 points running 12th, so not going to be a championship contender. I want to say he may have joined the season late or just now getting in the swing of things, but keep an eye out on Grigsby running 2nd. The longer he runs here, I think the more likely it's going to be to see him as a championship contender in future seasons.
Yeah, it could definitely be a factor. We can see he's been on the pace these last couple of races and has been really solid here tonight. As we look back, though, it looks like the gap between Jared Reed and Nick Lear in the championship is only 6 points here tonight. So we can see a 4th and a 5th finish is really kind of the difference. You know, any kind of point matters with a gap that small. However, though, I wouldn't discount Dominic DeLeo and Craig Mitchell, both on 216 points, dueling that 3rd spot. And they're only 11 points behind Leo, and therefore 17 behind the leader. So if Jared Reed and Nick Leo has another bad race, DeLeo and Mitchell could be your leaders, if they obviously get a good race as well. But really, anything is to play for here, and we might have a 4-way battle going into the final 2 races.
I think you're spot on the money there. I think any of these guys have a really strong chance of bringing it home, especially if we finish with this current top 5 running order. That is going to absolutely shoot DeLeo and Grigsby right back into the chase. As we check in on Nick Vasquez, he's having a battle with Matt Kleeman's number 19 machine for just inside the top 10 here. So still 13 laps left to go. Great racing across the track. You've got Kleeman and Vasquez separated by less than 2/10. Leo and Reed separated, Jared Reed separated by 1/4 of a second. I don't know what's going to happen, but Vasquez is charging forward aggressively here.
Yeah, he's charging forward aggressively. However, though, it looks like, as we just have a look back, yeah, so... Ooh. Well, actually, no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm not quite sure. But it looks like, though, Kleeman was able to get past Vasquez that time by the P10. So, Vasquez falling back at 1 spot, unfortunately. At the moment, though, after that mistake early on that dropped him back, he's still in the same place at the moment, P11, which is 5 spots down from where he started. We know he does have the pace to be in that top 5, but unfortunately, if you make a mistake and we go green the whole way, you're kind of done for, really, because you don't have... Well, you can't really make up 20 seconds, can you? It's not really a gap which it is doable, at least on an oval.
Yeah, not without a little bit of cautions being thrown your way with a little bit of fortune, unless you're involved in the cautions, in which case it doesn't do you any good. Now, surprised to see Leo and Reed still 1/4 of a second apart here, and you can see Reed in that all-green number 5 Ford dipping way down on the apron to try and squeeze just a little bit more time out of that Ford. They'll run around about 3/10. They've kind of been yo-yoing back and forth by about 500ths of a second at a time, so Leo able to hold on to it. But we talked about this earlier, Leo does have 3-lap fresher tires underneath him, and we've got 10 laps left to go. That could be all the differences. Reed did a little bit of fuel saving, but not a lot of tire saving to be done here at Kansas.
Yeah, we can see as soon as Leo got past, he just switched it on. And we can see duffing down onto the apron. He wants to get that position back, but he's going to do it in the dying moments and not leave Nick Leo a chance to get past again. As he gets ever closer to the back of the 69, this move is still on. Anyone can finish in 4th place here tonight. Either of them.
I saw somebody dipping down. I think they were dipping down pit road there. Or was that somebody come out? That might have been Steven. Not sure who that was. It looked like somebody was. Oh, it's Nick Vasquez in the 23 coming down pit road. So Vasquez night going from bad to worse here, and he's gonna have the pit under green with 9 laps left to go.
With 9 laps to go, he is not having a good night. First lap mistake that dropped him back down the order, and now that as well. So really, he really had the pace this evening, but unfortunately Lady Luck was not on his side this week. As we pass that lap traffic there, I believe that was Charlie Gates Jr. Yes, it was in the 55 machine. I think Nick Leo got hot up a little bit, but I think Jared Reed got held back equally as much. The gap stays around about the same. Jared Reed, though, still wants to get past the 69 and only has 8 laps left to do it.
This is going to be tough. Leo's pulled that gap to about 4.5 tenths, so gained about 2 tenths from where we were just a few laps prior. This is going to be tough for Jared Reed. He went for the undercut. We think he did a bunch of fuel save in the number 5 machine, and now doesn't look to me like he's going to be able to track down Nick Leo with 7 laps left to go. It's going to be interesting to see, but we've also seen late race cautions throw a wrench into plans here before at the RROL. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, but it is a potential for these guys as you've got a lot of drivers on mixed tire strategies and on different laps trying to work around each other here. And as I say that, Reed closes the gap with Leo. Leo must got have stuck with traffic or tagged the wall, but here we go. The battle for 4th continues.
Yeah, the battle for 4th has been going on for many, many laps now. The 5 machine still trying to get past the 69, and every lap now, as the laps tick down, he gets even closer to getting that move done. The 5 machine ducking down to the low line, trying to reduce that track distance, and then use the draft of the 69 to try and not lose any time on exit, to just gain any kind of time he can. Even hundredths of a second here could be useful, as the 69 just tries to stick down to that really high line, getting those exits and saving a little bit of tyres. I think he knows Jared Reed pit a little bit early, and he has the fresher tyres, so he's trying to save when he can, so he can have some tyres left to still fight him at the end of the race. 5 laps to go now, which really when Jared Reed will have that advantage, or maybe the tyres will start to equal out now. I'm not quite sure, but whatever it is, Jared Reed is still on him as he gets into the wall coming out of 2.
No, yeah, I was going to say, I was more nervous for Leo, who's been ripping that high line very consistently here. I thought if we were going to see a bobble, it may have been out of that 69 of Leo, and as I say that, Reed closes about 2 or 3 tenths there, coming out of 3 and 4, so I think if Leo can just hold it together, he's setting the pace here in the battle for 4th. I think he's looking good. And I don't know what's going to happen here, to be frank.
Yeah. Oh, as he gets into the wall again.
Oh.
He's just pushing too hard, I think. He saw that gap getting a little bit bigger, and he wants to close it. He knows he's got to give it his all to get that gap back. But it looks like after that second mistake, it's not really... Oh, I don't know. Yeah, you can see that gap starting to get bigger now. 1.1 seconds it is. So unless Leo has an equally bad mistake, I suppose, or gets up into the wall, it looks like it'll be Leo's position, which could mean big for the championship, as the lead may swing again. I'm not as to quite sure how much points are awarded for 4th and 5th. However, though, whatever it is, I think 7 points or 6 points, whatever the gap is, I'm sure that will get it'll be tight.
Yeah, that's a very good way to describe it. And yeah, what I'm very interested in, I mean, yes, we have the championship battle going on right now for Jared Reed and Nick Leo, who have been battling for 4th and 5th for some odd 15 laps, but I'm extremely intrigued to see what's going to happen with Dominic DeLeo, Greg Mitchell, and really Derek Grigsby. White flag is out, though, for Dominic DeLeo, but yeah, again, DeLeo and Grigsby may find themselves in championship contention here, as Dominic DeLeo, 11.5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, brings it down the backstretch of Kansas for the final time. and I think he's got it. I think it's very safe to say he's got it at this point.
You still got one corner to go, James.
You're right. I'll
One
just sit
corner
here
left.
and watch.
One corner. I think he can say it now. Could we get out of the tri-oval?
Dominic DeLeo picks up the win here at Kansas. His second win of the season. And I think that's going to pull him much, much closer up inside the points championship here. It's going to be Derek Grigsby finishing second, Greg Mitchell finishing third. Nick Leo, Jared Reed will round out the top 5. And oh, this is going to be good for the championship, my friend.
It is very, very good. DeLeo closing that gap now. 2 out 2 leaders in front. 2:06 it is now. Or the gap is 17 points to our leader at the moment. And that will go down very, very quickly, I think. Dominic DeLeo has always been there or thereabouts. But now for the second time of the season, he's bring home the win and close that gap now. Really putting him within that fight with 3 rounds to go. He could still steal this if things go his way.
Yeah, I think there's 4 cars at this point have a chance of a championship as Dominic DeLeo is going to put on a smoke show for the fans here at Kansas. A massive win in that number 22 and another race, Finley. Green from start to finish. We had a couple close calls, but Dominic DeLeo used those green flag runs to his advantage, and he's going to tear up some grass here in victory lane.
Yeah, he deserves it. An absolutely dominant win from him. I'm not quite sure what he's done, but something clicked in that 22, and he definitely showed his pace this evening. An absolutely great race, great racing all the way through. As you bring up our racing results here tonight, Dominic DeLeo coming home in first place, Derek Grigsby coming home in second, Greg Mitchell your top 3, followed by Nick Leo edging out Jared Reed, closing that gap in the championship, finishing 4th place, Reed 5th, Carter Liddens finishing 6th, Aaron Sayer finishing 7th, Jake Vanosky finishing 8th, David Reed, Butch Taylor finishing 10th, Matt Kleeman followed by Nick Vasquez, Stephen Gibson, and then Charlie Gates Jr. finishing in P14, rounding out the night. What a race, James. What a race.
Yeah, fantastic all the way through. I think we're starting to get some drivers to making their way up into the interview room, and we will get this thing started.
Our 3rd place driver here tonight, Greg Mitchell. You kind of drove your own race a little bit. Not a whole lot of battles going on apart from that first portion of the race. Just bring us through kind of what was the strategy going into the race, or what were you thinking kind of midway through?
I was just trying to keep up with Dominic, but after about 15 laps, he was doing a lot better saving tires. I had nothing for him. I was kind of driving like a donkey and slapping the wall all night long too, so that didn't help.
That's probably my favorite analogy I've ever heard in the broadcast booth, Greg. Greg, we're now coming into tonight. Kansas, especially in practice, didn't look like he was going to race very well. We saw drivers bending it every which way, but once we got out there under green flag conditions, it looked like a lot of lines kind of opened up for the guys and lend itself to some pretty great racing. Did you expect that coming into tonight?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple lines you can run. The high side is definitely faster on the long runs, but you can run the bottom too. I think a lot of people were hot lapping early on too in practice just to kind of see what they can do for qualifying. But yeah, I mean, it's really a great track for racing. We just got kind of really spread out there with no cautions, which is good and bad. A lot less racing, but we can kind of run our strategies that way, which I don't know if I really had one, but.
Well, yeah, before we sign off though, Greg Mitchell, is there any kind of family, friends, sponsor you'd like to shout out before we go home?
Thank you to Next Level and Butt Kicker for sponsoring the series, and thanks to all the admins who help run the league. They do an awesome job, and thanks to you guys.
Thanks very much, Greg. Hopefully we see you here next week.
Thanks, guys.
That was Greg Mitchell, your 3rd place driver. However, though, the very popular man Derek Grigsby coming home in P2 here tonight. Once again, you kind of drove your own race here tonight. You did actually drop back a couple places, I think 10 laps in. What happened there?
Yeah. So I was actually scratching my armpit in the middle of the turn and got into the wall.
Grigsby, I don't know if you know this. We're live. We can't edit that to make it sound better, buddy.
I mean, it is what it is. If you can finish second after hitting the wall, scratching your armpit, I guess that's something to be happy about.
Yeah.
Now, Derek, you're getting a lot of love from the fans here tonight. You had Jamie Henson tune in, RV2 Motorsports, also giving you your support We saw a lot of great racing over the run. Now, did you ever feel like you were kind of in danger with that number one? Because you and Mitchell putting on a show, I mean, right there next to each other, but seemed like a lot of confidence between the two of you not to make any mistakes and kind of clean each other out over that run.
Yeah, I think we were both kind of focused on running our own race and the long run speed. And so when I got to him, I kind of pushed it a little bit, knowing that he was saving it. And he kind of let me go. And luckily, I was able to get in front of him and just keep it there.
Yeah, that was a great race from you coming home in P2, bringing home good points. Obviously, a little bit further down, not quite in the fight for the championship, but could definitely improve your spot come later on. Before we sign off, though, is there any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to shout out?
Yeah. So I've got Old Money Racing and RV2 Motorsports on the car this week, and just want to give them a shout out. Two good buddies of mine that always support my efforts. So wanted to put their logo on the car and show them a little support.
Yeah, thank you, Derek. Hopefully, we'll see you here next week.
Thank you.
See ya. There is Dave Grigsby. However, though, the man of the hour somehow, with absolutely astonishing pace, finishing 12 seconds ahead of second place, Dominic DeLeo. What happened here today?
Hey Finley, hey James. Really just Kansas might be my favorite track on the service. Just love wall riding. I was telling the guys in the waiting room there, Greg and Derek, who also, congrats on second and third. But they were asking me, or saying, I don't know how you save tires. And I was just saying, the secret to saving tires at Kansas is just rip it the entire time. You can't save. So you're just driving on edge for 45 laps. And that's what happened. So yeah, pretty happy.
Yeah, obviously you're saying it's with the tires, but 12 seconds is a lot. Like, usually we see maybe 4 or 5 seconds, but 12 is massive.
Yeah, it's really just I love the track. I got one of my first wins here in a broadcasted race, in the ARCA cars, and ever since then I've just been really just loving the wall. And next gen car kind of drives a similar style. On the top, it's kind of preferred both for getting the car a little bit loose, easier through the turns, but also just it's faster too. So I just you know just time and passes here. It's always been kind of just my thing. So pretty happy about it. And like I said, it's didn't get a caution, so the draft is a lot here. So I was just trying to get away at the beginning, and once I got like a second between, I think Greg was in second, I kind of knew if it went green, then we were just kind of just off to the races.
Now, Dominic, you were third in points, tied with Greg coming into tonight's round. We've got 3 rounds left: Talladega, Rockingham, and Wilkesboro. Talladega, I like to call it the draft lottery. We have no idea how that's going to go for anybody, regardless of talent and speed. But Rockingham and Wilkesboro, you still have a shot of winning the championship here after tonight. Which of those tracks are you excited about, apprehensive about? What are you thinking coming into the late part of the season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Talladega, just a crapshoot. I just ran a race there last night. It's pretty fun though in these next gen cars to get linked up. So I'm sure I'll reach out to a couple guys and see if we can, be all on the same strap. But hopefully, just luck my way into a top 5 there. And then, honestly, I've never run Rockingham, haven't downloaded it, so that's gonna be an interesting track to kind of pick up and learn. And then North Wilkesboro, I've only run it in the ARCA cars, but I'm interested to see. I don't even know if there's a setup, but Jared's been awesome at building the setup, so excited to see what he brings around. I like short tracks traditionally, so pretty excited for those last 2 races, and those should be fun for the broadcast.
Yeah. Well, Dominic, before we sign off, is there any friends, family, sponsors you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, no, I'd like to thank my wife for supporting the hobbies. Butt Kicker, Next Level Racing for sponsoring Rubbins Racing. Got a good group of guys here. Like to thank everybody at Team Goon Squad. You guys, Finley, James, for putting on the broadcast. I'd like to thank Physikus Motorsports and Magyar Bank for sponsoring the Car Eat Sleep race. Also, shout them out. And just, yeah, that's, I think, pretty much it. Thanks again for you guys for broadcasting. Excited to go watch it.
Thank you, Dominic. See you. Well, yeah, hopefully we'll see you next week.
Hopefully. Have a good night, guys.
See ya. Right then, James, now we get a chance to chat. Only 5... Oh, yeah. Wait. I'm reading right. Yeah. Only 5 drivers finishing on the lead lap here tonight. that was it was definitely very interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this season's gonna to shape up here. 3 rounds left. There's 4 drivers. I truly think anybody's chance of winning next week at Talladega gonna be a bit of a draft lottery. I mean, it's all about keeping that car out of trouble, and then Rockingham and North Wilkesboro, relatively technical track. So not sure what we're gonna see here, but I do know we're gonna see 4 different drivers at the minimum still duking it out here at the Rubbins Racing Next Gen Cup Series, trying to get that championship belt.
Yeah, that championship belt, it is definitely a very sought after thing. With the gap being so small between our two front runners and both third place drivers also so close in there. Farron Sayer has a bit of a, I say he could maybe still be within a shout, kind of a little bit out there, but worst comes to worst, if he has a really good finish in Talladega and everyone in front of him in the championship wrecks out for some reason, it's not impossible, but maybe a little bit. I don't know the word for it.
I think it's going to be interesting, but
yeah.
Well, great night as always. Thank you as always, Finley, joining for me up in the booth, as well as thank you to the fans that tuned in tonight. Butt Kicker, feel what you've been missing, coming on as the title sponsor, as well as Next Level Racing coming on board as well. As always, we've been having a great time broadcasting here every Tuesday night. Looking forward to having you all back next week. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next one.